Today we got the construction game. It's a pretty cool game. I kind of like the construction game. I mean, there's some things I don't like about it. And I remembered about the stuff I didn't like about it. One thing I don't like about board games in general is flimsy boxes. I mean, the boards are good, but the boxes are flimsy. Excuse me. Another thing I don't like about board games in general is usually they put so much stuff. They usually have this big old box and they got all this wasted space. Anyway, here you got loans because sometimes you got to borrow money when you're in construction. Then you got contingency cards because unexpected things happen. You got money because you got to have money, and then you can buy these locations. You got Lost Miner Sand and Gravel Pit, Gold Star Dumpster Site, Northside Concrete Plant, Westside Asphalt Plant. So you can buy these stuff. And you're building. You're one of the construction companies. You're either Great Northern Pacific Land Construction Company, Extraordinary Earthworks Incorporation, Down to Earth Excavating Corporation, Lombani Brothers Sons and Grandsons Dirt Movers Incorporation, Dave's Dozen Corporation, or Hard Hat Hannah's Women and Minority Owned Excavation Company. And here's the different ones I was talking about. You got the concrete paving plant, the Gold Star landfill, the Lost Mining Sand and Gravel Pit, Westside Asphalt Paving, and sometimes you have to auction your stuff at big to get money. So you start at the beginning of the year, and you pretty much you roll one die, and your construction foreman, whether we got green, white, yellow, purple, red, and blue. Now this game is nice on the grounds that if you were a major construction foreman, you're like a major CEO, big construction company, it doesn't represent the little guys very well. I mean, it doesn't represent the little subcontractor, little guy, but it's still pretty decent game. Anyway, so every space is a week. See? Every space is a week. A week at a time. And you got residential markets, commercial markets, industrial markets, municipal markets, and heavy highway markets. So you roll, you land on these things, and you do the jobs. You need certain pieces of equipment to do the jobs, which I don't like. I mean, here's the equipment. They're little stickers that you put on the board, and here's the how much. Here's how you make money here. If you have the right equipment, the more equipment you have of the right equipment, which tells you, I like this nice little flow chart here. This is great. This flow chart here is awesome. But basically, to make money, the more equipment you have, if you have one, you need one to do the job anyway. You need one of that type of equipment, and you can have 5 of each type of equipment. And then you roll the die, and the higher the die roll, the better money you make, but the lower the die roll, the least amount of money. So, you start off with some basic equipment in this game. But So here's residential, commercial, institutional, municipal, and heavy highway scrapers. Here's the rules. Here's rule number 6 about the auction yard, general rules, how much money you start with, how much money you got to get to win the game, which I just play and keep playing sometimes because I enjoy the game. So, but it's not, I mean, it's not like the hardest game. Once you read the rules and get a hold of it, and here's an amendment to the rule. There's the company that did it and made it. So if you do a job, you always gotta draw a contingency card, and you can have up to 5 of these, and you start with a few of them, and you have to buy the rest. So here's the things: January, then you got February, you got March, you got April, you got May, you got June. I like how the board is actually a year. July, August, September, October, November, and then since there's not a whole lot of work during the wintertime, if you made enough money, you have an chance, if you have enough, to land, that you either have to pay these, but you could buy it, and if you buy it, you don't have to pay the other thing. Then you collect money for your pass. Now, there's a few things I don't really particularly like about this game. First of all, the fact there's only 4 properties that you can buy. I don't like that. I don't like the fact that there's only 4 properties you can buy. I think there should be more properties to buy. And if you buy one of these properties, you get a monopoly in that particular thing. Because everybody is going to have to pay you money when they land on your property. But also there's contingency cards, and there's all kinds of places on the board that tell you when you do certain jobs, you're going to have to pay certain companies money to use their stuff, like the asphalt people, concrete people, the dump site, and the gravel people. You have to pay them money to use their, Well, one thing I kind of don't like is the fact that there's monopolies here. Now, I know they did that to make it simpler, but still, these are pretty much monopolies because none of these companies have a competitor. There should be at least 2 of each of these type of companies. That way there's to be a competitor, and that way nobody could cause a monopoly. Next thing I don't really like is these stickers. I know they just stick to the board on your people's stuff, but it would have been cooler if they gave you little miniature figures of all the different construction equipment. Also, I don't think there's enough construction equipment. They only have 5 different types of construction equipment. I think they should have had more types of construction equipment, and they should have expanded the game to have more stuff. They should have had more construction equipment and more type of things, more jobs. That's the other thing I don't like about it. And other than that, it's a pretty decent game. But it's outdated when it comes to the how much things cost. I mean, honestly, things cost compared to how much money you make, compared to how much money you spend. You're going to be in debt for like most of the game until you start rolling in the cash. I don't like that. I think the prices for collecting and the prices for buying equipment, I think personally, I think you should double the amount of money you collect and half the amount of money it costs to buy equipment. Because honestly, it's just the price of equipment is just, and the price of title deeds is just so expensive that it's just ridiculous. The best time to get equipment, if you can, is when someone's broke and has to sell something, because you could get a $50,000 piece of equipment for $10,000 at the auction block. So, and another thing is, there's no, you have to pay your employees anywhere. I would implement a paying your employees a certain amount of money every roll of the die. Because that would be more realistic. Like, say you had to pay $1,000 every turn for your employees or something. And the bigger your construction company got, the more employees you'd have. So, for every... What's the lowest bill they have here? Yeah, the lowest bill they have is $1,000. So, for every piece of equipment, I would implement a $1,000 rule for every piece of equipment you own. That's not just to buy it. That's to keep the maintenance up and keep the employees that happy to work for your company. So, that are working on that equipment. Now, I know that the game's unrealistic when it comes to the price margin stuff. It makes the prices of equipment cost a lot more. Now, in real life, they probably cost about that much. And the amount of money you make is not really as good as the amount of money that you get. So, every time you take a job, you gotta do a contingency card, because nothing ever goes right on the job site. So this is sort of realistic here. But all in all, I pretty much like this game. I just think that they could have done a little better on paying people. I mean, it would have been nicer to make more money, but it seems like you don't make a whole lot of money till you start getting bigger. It takes several years to go around the board before you start actually making money. I mean, you're given these options here, but you have to land on them to buy them. And you'll be going around the board 10 times probably before you even have enough money to even buy this lower one. This is what I'm trying to get at. Basically, it's your risk versus reward thing in here is you're not making a whole lot of money during this game. You're doing a whole lot of work for a whole low amount of pay. After a while, you get out of debt. After a while, you start making money. After a while, you start doing good. And I guess that's why the game's rule is to make up to like $2 million or something like that. And cash in assets, because it's going to take you forever to make that amount of money, is what I'm getting at. It's a fun game. It's a fun game. It's a simple game, and you feel like you're the foreman / CEO of like a huge major construction company. So the theme is amazing and great, but it's got too many abilities to become a monopolist, because once someone gets a hold of one of these titles, the properties, it's almost impossible to, once someone gets a hold of one of these title deed cards, it's almost impossible until you buy one. And then they have to, and stuff. So while it's a 6-player game, there's only 4 title deeds. So once these if four players manage to get them, the other 2 players are just screwed. They're screwed. There's no possible way for them to win, unless, of course, this player bought the title deed early in the game, didn't have the money to keep it, and started losing money. Then he'd have to sell it on the auction block to make money. So, if you buy these early in the game, not a good idea. You need to wait until you can actually afford it. You need to, strategy tip I would say is wait until you can afford to buy the property twice before even buying it. Or at least 1.5. So, before you're purchasing this for $400,000, you need to have at least $600,000. This one, $100,000, you need to have about $150,000. This one, $500,000 one, you need to have about $700,000 or $800,000 in your thing. Which, if you have that much money, you're about ready to win anyway. So yeah. And this one, $200,000, you need to have about $300,000 to buy it. You need to have money in reserves if you're going to buy one of these. You could risk it and try to buy one of these anyway. But like I said, there's only 6 players. So if 4 players get these, this player, if you're playing the $2 million, this is worth $500,000 already, and it counts as liquid assets. So it's not $2 million cash; it's $2 million plus your liquid assets, which is this. So these are worth money, and they make you money, and they count as that amount of money that you need to win the game of $2 million or whatever amount you make. So if these 4 get owned by one player, he's automatic. You're screwed. He's going to win. Yeah. If these 4 players get ruled, and you're playing a 6-player game, and 4 of them get bought by 4 players, those 2 players are going to be so behind there ain't no way they can win. They're just out. And once you have enough money to be able to purchase 5 of each one of these, and you literally have 25 pieces of equipment and one of these things. Oh, by the way, those pieces of equipment, they count as your liquid assets too. So, no, actually they don't. Never mind. I don't think the pieces of equipment count as your liquid assets, because you'd have to sell them on the auction block, and you might not make as much. But there's also a limit to how many pieces of equipment there are. So, not everybody, I don't think there's enough to have it where everybody could get 5 of each piece of equipment, especially if there's a 6-player game. But, like I said, I don't like the stickers. I know they're removable stickers, but I don't like the stickers. I think that they could have did a little better by coming with actual low quality, little miniature pieces that are shape of the actual pieces of construction. And the money for all games and cards, these cards are kind of light. They could have been better stock. The title deeds, they're not even as good quality stock as Monopoly games. So, I mean, the board's probably the best quality stock. But for the most part, I mean, it's a pretty decent game, and I don't think they made a whole lot of them. So I don't think there was a bunch of them. I mean, they made them cheap, and they probably gave them out to EarthCalc Incorporation. Probably just gave them out to their customers for free, probably, that bought stuff from them. So big time construction owners probably were given this game just for the heck of it. I mean, I don't think they were really trying to create or mass market a board game about construction, because they actually made it very, the theme is 100%. It's very, very accurate to bad things happening to construction people, engineers, owners of construction things. So, with that being said, I'll say if you want a realistic simulation of a board game of being a CEO of a construction company, this is your game. Which I kind of like games that are realistic. The only problem with games that are realistic is you suffer from what a lot of board gamers called analysis paralysis. Everybody's thinking about what they're going to do, and when it's not your turn, you have nothing to do for 5 turns. Now, this game, they kind of fixed that by having it where there's only really one major thing you can do on your turn. Roll the dice, land on that space, take the job or not take the job, and roll the dice to see if the job made you money. If you don't have the piece of equipment to do the job, you can buy that piece of equipment. Or before doing the job, you can buy an additional piece of equipment. Now, so there's that. But all in all, it's a pretty decent game. I mean, for a game about construction. So remember, I mean, I just think that they made it cheaply. They made it realistic, which is a good thing, but they made it cheaply. They could have did better. But then again, I don't think they were mass marketing it to anybody. I think they were just giving it away to contractors and stuff that bought a whole bunch of stuff from them. So, if for a promotional type game, they actually did a pretty decent job. I mean, I've never seen it anywhere else. I found it at a thrift store. And since I collect board games, I thought, hey, this is pretty cool. I mean, I've had it a long time. And I played it. And yeah, for a game that it doesn't really say it, you could play it solo. This game is actually... It's actually, if you just play it by the regular rules, you could actually play this game solo. I mean, this is actually a possibility of playing it solo. It's a solitary type game if you really want to sit around and play. But then again, people don't like to sit around and play long games anymore. So, this game, it's on the long side. And that's where the downfall is, because a lot of people like to play long games anymore. Its extreme realisticness is going to make people kind of be upset, because most of the time you're going to be in debt. You're going to be in debt for like first half of the game until you start digging out of that debt, paying off that equipment, owning it, and then starting racking in the cash. But and there's another particular thing I don't like about board games in general that allow you to get in debt. They have no limit. What I mean by that is there's no end to the amount of debt you can get, which is very unrealistic because in all board games, there should be that have a debt factor. There should be a limit to how much debt you can get into. You know, there's a point where their credit's just no good anymore. The bank's not going to give you anymore. So that's what I think about the construction game. My overview of the game. It's actually simple, and the things I would change is double the amount of pay you get for each job, and half the equipment costs. Those two things right there will help you stay out of debt a little better, because you'll be able to get more. You'll collect more money, and your equipment will cost less. That's the thing I would do to make the game improve the game a little bit. I mean, this game assumes that you're going to buy all your equipment basically brand new, unless, of course, someone gets broke and has to sell theirs. Well, that's not really the case. I mean, in reality, most construction corporations probably buy used equipment way more than they buy new equipment, on the simple grounds that the equipment is probably costs less to fix than it does to buy a brand new one. So I would use that rule just to make it and say, well, everybody's buying used equipment. That's why the prices have. And inflation, I would say, well, this game was made, who knows when this game was made? I don't even know. I don't even remember seeing a copyright date on it. Oh, here, 1993. Well, it's been like 93, 2003, 2019 now, 2013, 93, 2003. I mean, 2003. This game is like old. So I'd go with the inflation rule where you get at least 2 times the amount of money now than it shows on the game. So, you know, that would kind of go with it. And the little stickers, they just scream cheap. I mean, they just literally scream cheap. And so I would have come up with like all these little construction little pieces, like little miniatures of these little, and there's literally, I mean, the game is clearly made for men, even though it does have that one woman construction company to cater to the minorities or whatnot. But there's literally no aesthetics, no decoration, no art to it. It's just simple, plain Jane. So there's that. That's not really a big deal for me, but there's that. So that's been my little overview of the construction game. I like it, but there's stuff I don't like about it. If I was to remake this game and retheme it, there's stuff I would do to make it easier and nicer and more cool and more streamlined. And there's some stuff I would add to it to make it where you could play as the little guys instead of as the big guys. You know, the little guys competing with the big guys. So there's just a few things I would do. So remember, God is good all the time. All the time God is good. Jesus loves you. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I hope you enjoy my board game reviews. And keep on gaming. And have a great day. And if you're in construction or something of that nature, comment down below. Later, guys.